The thoughts, opinions, and general overall shades thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by Cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yes. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, October 15th. It's Hump Day. And today is Dale, you're going to love this, Dale. It's National Fossil Day.
Oh, yeah, I'm a fossil. I'm older than dirt.
Oh, it's National Shawarma Day.
Sounds Buddhist or Indian or something.
And, you know,
shawarma like
shawarma,
it's
food. Yeah, shawarma. Yeah, not trauma. Shawarma. No, you don't want any shawarma? The shawarma for you? Well, anyways.
You gotta get Dale to food truck soon.
I know, something like apparently, gotta get him.
I don't know what
culture.
I'm missing, right?
Exactly. And you know, yesterday was No Bra Day, right? And today is Bra Day USA.
I have man boobs. Does that count?
That means, you know, in some restrooms across the country, it does, Dale.
Were you wearing a bra?
Oh, I don't wear. I refuse. I'm a bra burner. Way back.
It's also
Free-flowing. Let's go.
Yeah, it's also National Aesthetician Day.
Aesthetician.
Yeah, esthetician. Yeah, those the people that like you know, give you facials and shit, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ast is the wrong end of the body though.
Well, you know, AES, ASS. Yeah, you know. Yeah, depends on what, you know, what face they're popping, you know what I mean? It's also National Cheese Curd Day.
Okay.
I don't know.
Let's go cheese curd.
I'm not sure why that even deserves a day, but you know, it's weird.
You've never had a Wisconsin or Minnesota cheese curd.
I have definitely not had that, whatever you're referring to. You're correct.
They're definitely worth it. Worth celebrating.
Really?
Or cheese curd. Yeah.
Yeah, it's worth eating even if you're lactose intolerant.
Interesting.
That's Minnesota's food of glory.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I just remember curds from what was that?
Little Miss Muffet?
Yeah, Little Miss Muffet. Yeah, she sat on a tuffet eating her curds and whey. She had whey powder. She was strong.
Yeah.
She was getting it. She was like one of those first CrossFit girls.
Yeah, eating curds and whey.
Well, my family worked in the dairy industry. You've ever been in a curdling room? I didn't particularly like the odor that came from the curdling room.
Oh, I bet.
It smelled like food to me, and
oh, I'm sure.
No,
Make your eyes curdle, as they say.
I could believe that. It's also Hagfish Day. Yeah,
I'm not going to defend Hagfish.
Yeah, I don't see. I don't know what that is either. So, you know, to me it doesn't sound tantalizing at all, personally. But you know, it's also
it should be in the Wizard of Oz or something, right?
Something.
The hagfish.
Yeah. Exactly.
Be like the beauty of ugly animals or something.
Oh,
Okay,
now you're
done.
gonna make me go and look it up. Jeez Louise. Jeez
Looked
Louise.
it up. It's not. You don't need it. You don't need
Not that
it.
curious, dude. Let's move on.
Let's see what it says. Let's see. My computer's running slow, you guys. It needs to hurry up. All right, National Hagfish Day. National Hagfish Day. Oh, that does not look good. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's for all the ugly animals out there.
Yeah, this does not look like a good thing. Ew, it looks like a crazy. On the third Wednesday in October, Hagfish Day brings awareness to the evolved but slimy hagfish. We apologize in advance if this gives you the creepy crawlies with this national day, but like all other days, we should try to bring some beauty to this slimy reptile. It looks like a baby. It looks like a black snail, but with no shell. Hagfish are considered to be the ugliest of species, and the idea behind Hagfish Day is to encourage everyone to look beyond the exterior of the hagfish and appreciate how highly evolved they are. Just like a book cover, you need to look deeper into the subject, hopefully form an appreciation for this species. Well,
yeah, or not.
Yeah, I'm not too appreciative today on that one, but whatever.
I can appreciate ugly species. I'll do it.
Whatever.
Go Hagfish.
Of course you would say that. It's also Support Your Local Chamber of Commerce Day.
Okay.
National Latino AIDS Awareness Day.
Okay.
National I Love Lucy Day.
Oh God.
Where's Ricky?
Yeah. Where's the little rascals in?
Yeah.
We love Lucy.
Yes. National Pregnancy and Infant Loss Awareness Day. That's a sad one. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
White cane. Yeah, white, bro. It's, man, today there's a lot of them. It's also White Cane Safety Day. This for all.
October.
This for all the blind guys out there. You know what I mean? With their white canes. You know what I mean? My buddy, there was a blind guy. He was trying to catch the bus and he couldn't find the bus stop. My buddy helped him out the other day to find the bus stop.
Oh, that's so good.
I know.
See, we're gonna help you out, friends.
That's what I told him. That's exactly what I told him. And I love this one. It's also National Grouch Day today.
Where's my award?
Yeah, right. Oh, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website at www.highat9news.com. So welcome to everyone joining us from any one of those platforms today, you guys. And man, I have a quick tale for you coming out of Arizona today, because a judge dismisses a lawsuit over an marijuana dispensary license dispute. That's right. An Arizona judge has dismissed a lawsuit claiming state officials improperly awarded a marijuana dispensary license outside the deadlines set in law. The case was filed by Mason Cove, owner of Arizona Wellness Center in Springvale, against the Arizona Department of Health Services, better known as the ADHS, Governor Katie Hobbs, her chief of staff, Chad Campbell, and Sherry Dunn, LLC. Cave argued that the license awarded violated both the state constitution, gift clause, and prior court orders. Maricopa County Superior Court Judge Joseph Kramer, ruling from the bench, found that Cave and his company lacked standing to sue. Even if standing had been established, Kramer rejected the claims outright. He says, "I agree with the defendant's arguments down the line," Kramer said. The dispute stemmed from the rollout of dual-use dispensary licenses under Arizona's 2020 voter-approved legalization law. Sherry Dunn, LLC, originally applied for a certificate in 2016, but was denied because La Paz County already had a dispensary. And after a separate lawsuit, the Arizona Supreme Court ruled the department erred in denying certificates where counties had no dispensaries. Sherry Dunn, LLC, later received its certificate in 2021 and applied for a license in 2022, but it fell outside the application window. Rather than risk losing in the Court of Appeals, ADHS settled with the company and issued the license. Cave argued the settlement was unlawful and influenced by communications between a lobbyist and Campbell through the court, though the court gave little weight to those allegations. Kramer dismissed the gift clause claim, noting that professional and regulatory licenses do not fall under its provisions. That's interesting. He also rejected the ultra vires claim that pointing out that settlements are a routine part of litigation. And in a quote, "The plaintiffs have generalized desire to compete. That's not good enough," Kramer said, emphasizing the absence of a concrete personal stake. Attorneys for ADHS and the governor's office described the claims as baseless, while Cave's attorney maintained that the department cannot ignore statutory rules even in a settlement. And all motions to dismiss were granted, though Cave's legal team has not ruled out an appeal. Neither Cave's attorney nor the governor's office offered further comment following the ruling, you guys. Well, Arizona. Oh, you know, Katie Hobbs, in my opinion, she's got some corruption up her sleeve, but I'm willing to bet that they couldn't prove beyond a reasonable doubt that existed in this case. And I do find it interesting, Dale, that licenses aren't under that purview of gifting, but I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, this is very much undecided. If you're in the running for one of these licenses and you don't win, I mean, what right do you have to go into court and say that I was treated wrongly in this situation? And in this particular case, the issue was standing. Have you been harmed, and did you have a legal right to what you claim you were harmed by? Okay, and that's where this begins to get real, difficult to support, because these rules and regulations. And I'm, Shaun, if you're doing mediation, you understand how this works too. You bring parties together. It's like, you guys have filed a lawsuit. We can go in and have a jury decide this, or along the way, we can settle it. Both sides can give up a little bit, and the court then signs off on an agreement. The people who are not part of the agreement, have they been damaged? Okay. Well, they bent the rules a little bit. Well, that harm you in a legal right that you at that point actually had. Nobody has a right to these licenses. That's where this begins to get weird. Once you get them, you still don't have a right to keep them. That's one of the problems we continue to see, that, oh, you gave me a license. Yeah, but these are 1-year licenses. And once that 1 year's up, you don't have a right. I mean, look at what we had here with lab case. Okay. That we've all been talking about. It's like, hey, you don't have a right to this. Too bad. Yep. Oh, I'm harmed very much. Okay, you're harmed very much, but you didn't have a right to have this license. But it doesn't matter how much you were harmed, you didn't have the right to go forward in court to get what you want. And that blows a lot of people's mind, because the first thing as a litigator you got to figure out is, do you have standing to go to court? Why would you plop down $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 to pay an attorney? You know, or should know, that the court's going to kick your ass out day one.
Yeah.
And this is one of the initial problems you deal with when you're a litigator, and it just goes on from there. And the cannabis market is it's like vapors right now. You try to go in and claim rights, and the court's going, you ain't really got those. You're in the regulatory system here. And you just don't have all the rights you think you have. So I'm not surprised about this. I mean, as a litigator, I typically was on the defense side, and it's like, yeah, you don't have any standing, and I'm smiling to walk out of court because we just kicked their ass.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody in the world can go to court and complain about something and be successful. Sometimes the complaints get thrown right in the trash because, I'm sorry, you don't have a right to that.
Well,
Dale hits it on the head. Plus, this kind of stuff screws the industry overall. Like this reminds me of the New York case where the veterans sued for discrimination, and it stopped the equity license applicants. And as a veteran, I was annoyed. I was like, guys, come the fuck on. Like, let the other people move forward, and you can plead your case with the state, but stopping other people from operating when you don't have a license or a right. If you invested a ton of money, and that's on you. You didn't have, like, that's your responsibility as the business owner. You didn't have it locked down. So that's on you. And this ability to completely stall the industry through lawsuit is so frustrating overall, because it just shows, honestly, for me, unless you were truly discriminated against and you really have a case, it infuriates me when folks do this, because it makes the situation 10 times more complicated and harder to move forward any kind of policy and legislation, especially when lawmakers feel like they're always being sued frivolously. It's a no-win game.
Interesting. What are you gonna say, Chris?
Yeah, this is kind of crying to mommy that you didn't get what you wanted. I mean, like Dale said, no one's really entitled to these licenses. Some of us have had to fight years for them, and then you lose them right away, and that's the game we all have to play, especially in the states where they allow the counties and municipalities to deny these. That's you're just, as an operator, you can call yourself a victim, but I mean these are just the games we're playing, and the guardrails that are set out. I would say just go to another county. Better to luck next time. What can you do?
But you don't think that, like, there's a lot of foolery and corruption in the Hobbs administration?
Of course. All day long.
Okay.
All day long.
All right.
Is that really what they're trying to prove in court here? Or, I mean, I know that they brought up the gift clause.
Yeah.
And, I mean, 9 times out of 10, the people that I've worked with in the past that own these licenses are the least deserving anyway.
Fair enough. Good point.
So not like I'm going to be hoorah for the government for denying somebody, but I mean, just move on. We've all gotten defeated. We've all gotten zoned out of an area that we wanted to be in. And you just have to adapt and grow beyond that. And of course there's corruption. Of course there's, money behind closed doors, exchanging hands. But, I don't know enough about these people or this case to say certainly who's doing what.
Yeah. And you have to be able to prove it. Like, we, the people, the citizens of the United States, should understand that there's levels of corruption in all forms of government on both sides, like any party, whoever's administering. I don't know, just it's a level of truth that we have to accept. It doesn't mean that you have to, that's why we have the opportunity to litigate, but you have to be able to prove. If you're going to be, it's corrupted, it's biased, etc. Now you have the burden of proof in that case. So you can't just say, they're just corrupt government people.
I can say it all I want.
It doesn't work. It is a legal strategy.
I can say they're corrupt all I want. I'm not arguing them in court, but I'll tell you what, if I argue with them in court, I'm going to bring that corruption to the table, and they're going to throw it in their face, and then they're going to have a whole nother type of a day going on. If I was involved, but I'm not involved. I'm just talking about it.
Yeah, but there's discretion in most decisions made by government. They have discretion. And so if you go in and try to claim you were wrong, you've got to prove that they were arbitrary and capricious in the way they exercised their discretion. And that is almost impossible to prove, because they use the lowest level of scrutiny called rational basis. And, behind closed doors, some kid got a new car, or, something happened. And I've been part of these discussions, and it makes me sick. But money talks and bullshit walks, and things get done if you know the right people. And if they exercise discretion in a way that you can't prove they were wrong, you're shit out of luck, as we say, and why waste your money? Because this is how government works. And to try and prove that they were acting improperly, good luck.
My favorite. My favorite.
I get it. Like, your big communication strategy, like, to be Jason, you'll love this example.
Oh boy,
but President Trump and his folks are very good at creating a PR storm around whatever the litigation is. And the Democrats don't help because they also feed it. But if this operator is not operating, like, if you are operating at a level where you're trying to influence communications and PR, and that can have an effect on lawsuit, like we saw with Cardi B, you see with other bigger cases, Donald Trump's case. Okay, but if you're a smaller operator in a local space, you are just inflaming legislators, judiciary, like lawmakers and folks who you need on your side for your other applications in other places. Like, don't burn the bridges you have to cross, especially if you don't have the money to do something really big and maniacal, you know, where you have a whole PR campaign. Most folks aren't winning lawsuits that way. Like, get out of the Hollywood movie ego of it all, where you're like, no, I have to win this.
Hollywood's going to buy my lawsuit.
Yeah, so many people do fall prey to that, though, and they think it's going to be this glorious day in court, and it's actually a nightmare. It's awful. It's traumatizing for so many. And even when you are seeking justice and you do have a case, do you know how hard it is to win a case in these courts? It's very difficult. There's a high burden of proof. So
you know who I think that worked the best for, Shaun? You know who I think that worked the best for? Larry Flynt. Larry Flynt. That scene when he went and paid his fine in all pennies. Oh, that was the best.
I think people glorify it more than like paying in pennies would be a good.
That's nice. Such a good one. Such a classic Larry Flynt move.
Court is like more fun than it is. It's not fun. It's stressful. But then again, I'm a mediator. You know, I like that's your bread and butter. And Dale, just before we move on, my favorite discretion in government, right? Discretionary spending. And on that, we're going to go into our first commercial, and we're going to be right back. And we are back. And oh man, you guys, I have an interesting update for you guys. Because an Ohio judge blocks the Ohio governor's intoxicating hemp product ban for 2 weeks, you guys. Basically, till Halloween, they want to make sure that you can trick or treat with hemp candy, apparently. The trial court judge granted a temporary restraining order that delays Governor Mike DeWine's executive order to shut down hemp THC product sales. That's right. Ohio shops selling intoxicating products containing hemp derivatives have another 2 weeks to conduct business as usual after a judge issued a temporary restraining order, better known as a TRO, on October 14th, blocking Governor Mike DeWine's executive order. The executive order, which aims to force Ohio retailers such as vape shops and gas stations to stop selling intoxicating hemp products for at least 90 days, was set to go into effect on October 14th. As part of the governor's plan for the Ohio Department of Agriculture to adopt emergency regulations to prevent youth access and install consumer safety guards. But not so fast, because a Franklin County Court of Common Pleas judge, Carl A. Avini, granted the TRO to set a preliminary injunction hearing for 9 a.m. on October 28th, when the court will further consider the merits of the plaintiff's arguments against the governor and the ODA. In a quote, "The court finds the plaintiffs have shown a likelihood of success of the merits," Avini wrote in the TRO. The executive order attempts to exercise legislative power reversed by the Ohio Constitution to the General Assembly, thereby violating the separation of powers. In addition, the executive order fically attempts to supersede the statutory framework already enacted by the General Assembly, which specifically defines and permits the sale and regulation of hemp and hemp-derived products. The 3 plaintiffs include Cleveland-based retailer and a manufacturer, Titan Logistics, Westchester-based retailer, Fumi Smoke and Vape, and Cincinnati-based manufacturer, Invicta Nutraceuticals.
Titan Logistics founder and owner Wesley Bryant contested in the lawsuit that hemp products account for nearly 100% of his company's sales and that approximately $150,000 of the company's inventory will degrade and be rendered unusable if it's not sold in the next 30 days. In his order, Avini found that without injunctive relief, the plaintiffs will face immediate and irreparable harm, and the judge also found that potential harm to third parties, such as accidental youth exposure resulting in emergency room visits, is outweighed by the court's countervailing interest in preserving our constitutional system of government, and that public interest favors upholding the legislature's constitutional authority over the governor's unilateral executive action. In a quote, "The separation of powers is not a matter of convenience. It's a constitutional safeguard embedded in our Ohio Constitution," Avini wrote. "The court's rule is limited to enforcing that safeguard, not to deciding matters of policy consistent with that principle. The court urges the General Assembly to exercise its own separate constitutional authority to determine the appropriate scope of comprehensive hemp regulation through the legislative process and to do so without delay." DeWine, who earlier in the day on October 14th shared an article about middle school students in the Cincinnati area being hospitalized after consuming THC edibles, said that when Ohio voters passed Issue 2 to legalize adult use cannabis in the 2023 election, they voiced their support for a highly regulated marketplace for intoxicating cannabinoid products. And in a quote, "While we continue to fight in court, today's developments underscore our continued desire to work with the General Assembly to pass permanent legislation regarding intoxicating hemp," the governor wrote on X. While several bills addressed hemp regulations are currently in play in the Ohio legislature, DeWine told reporters on October 8th that he was no longer going to sit on the sidelines after lawmakers failed to send him a bill last year and have yet to do so this season. During a press conference, DeWine showcased intoxicating hemp products packaged to resemble popular candies and snacks for children, and in a quote says, "This crisis is continuing to get worse, and I'm not going to sit by and let this continue," he said. "Intoxicating hemp has no required regulatory testing at all and is sold in packages enticing to children, many times mimicking the packaging of common candies. Intoxicating hemp is dangerous, and we need to do better to protect our children." In announcing his executive order, DeWine also declared a state of emergency, claiming that intoxicating hemp products have been adulterated because, by definition, hemp is non-intoxicating plant defined by a potency of 0.3% delta-9 THC or less. Therefore, intoxicating hemp products present a threat to public health and safety, the governor said. With DeWine directing the ODA to adopt emergency regulations in part to redefine hemp, the department issued draft rules that stipulate the term intoxicating hemp as a product that contains more than 0.5 milligrams of THC per serving and no more than 2 milligrams of THC per package. The plaintiffs in the case argued that the governor's basis for invoking the emergency rulemaking authority collides with the Ohio Revised Code, which states that adding hemp or a hemp product to any other product does not adulterate that other product. The U.S. Hemp Roundtable, the USHR, a national industry advocacy group, issued a release on October 14th expressing support for Avini's TRO, and in a quote says, "We're very pleased with the judge's decision today, and we look forward to working with the Ohio legislature as a united hemp industry to develop a strong and robust regulatory structure that will keep adult products out of the hands of children while protecting farmers, small businesses, and adult consumers who rely on hemp for their health and wellness," USHR General Counsel Jonathan Milner said. Well. Congratulations, Ohio. You basically have till Halloween to get all your hemp products off your shelves, and I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, this is the question that's floating around about executive orders around the entire country right now. Mm-hmm. And this is just, let's take a look at that line between what powers the executive has and what power the legislative branch has, because we separate powers. We live in a republic, not a democracy. And the chief executive can only do certain things. through emergency powers.
Yep.
The rest of it's got to go back to the legislature, or in the case of the national government, go back to the Congress to be decided, because this is how we've been set up since the nation started. Ohio wasn't one of the original colonies. It came along later, but it adopted Enlightenment principle of separate but equal powers. That's what we're looking here. And I mean, I'm not surprised. There's an industry up. What they're doing is lawful. Okay. And if somebody doesn't like it, to just say, oh, there's an emergency. Well, what do you have to prove to declare an emergency? And we're going to find this out at the federal level, where you want to deploy the National Guard somewhere and claim that something's going on. Well, what burden of proof do you have to prove that this is going on? Now, I don't know how. I think this case is basically dead now. I mean, you can go spend all the money you want. This judge has decided that I think you have to take this back to the legislature, and we're not going to allow you to use some declaration of an emergency to override what the Constitution is set up here. There's a limit on your power. You know, if you don't like it, too bad. Hold your breath, stomp your feet, but you still got to go back to the legislature to fix this.
Interesting, Dale.
Yeah, Dale, can you, because maybe we're reading things. Let's be sure that we're understanding this correctly. The judge issued a TRO on October 14th, and they've got the 2 weeks, but that doesn't mean 2 weeks and then the executive order takes hold. It means 2 weeks and then they're going to have a TRO hearing, right?
Well, they'll have a TRO hearing before the 2 weeks is up. That's
on the 28th. On the 28th.
Yeah.
There you go.
You bring all your dolls and go in and have a hearing, you know, in front of the judge, basically. And the judge has already told you that I think that the defendant's argument here prevails. It's going to prevail. Okay.
Yeah.
And that I see there's irreparable harm about to happen here. So if we don't stop this, there's going to be damages well beyond just you got to write a check for some money. Okay. This is going to ruin businesses, blah, 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 blah. Okay. And quite frankly, I think the judge is already signaling that you better come in with a stronger case than this. Try and get me to tell you you can just ruin all these businesses when I don't see the evidence for the emergency. This is always one of the questions in my mind, because I was a trial attorney. I brought in evidence. I questioned witnesses. I put documents and things in front of triers of fact. And most people don't understand that there are limits on that. You may think something is, totally relevant. I'm running in there and the judge goes, get that shit out of my courtroom. I don't want to hear it. Okay. And it irritates a lot of people. But the truth, I mean, the factual truth is a very difficult thing to deal with. And most people don't want to hear it. We're comfortable in our emotional truths and just tell me things I want to hear. And if I don't want to hear it, I don't want to hear it. Well, not how it works in court. We have very strict rules. And the judge here is signaling that this case is not going very far. We're going to give you a chance to come in and prove to me with some more evidence that I should change my mind. I don't see it happening here. This is important from the national standpoint because we're watching some of the same executive order tension between, does the Congress have to do something or can the president do it unilaterally? It's just an extension of that. And so stand by, because we'll get some rulings out of court. Some are going to like it, some are not going to like it. We have separation of powers, and there are lines. Trump loves to, push lines, and we'll see if the courts are going to go, not today, Donald. You've gone a little too far, and we'll see. And Mike DeWine, sorry, Mike, you don't have that. That's not an arrow in your quiver. Down, find something else to figure it out. You just don't get to do this.
Yep. So and what they're saying is the state is leaning, it sounded a lot like Texas arguments, but I think where Ohio made a few mistakes aside from trying to ban hemp is the governor setting redefinitions and milligram caps. That wasn't a conversation.
That's the legislator's body. He's saying he's trying to say that since the 0.3%, he's saying that all these other products are all adulterated because it's a 0.3 percent.
To make definitions like that, that's not part of his executive authority.
I'm just telling. That's what he's saying, though. That's just what he's saying. Don't shoot the messenger.
What I'm not sure. I just don't know what executive authority is. But aside from that, so can't do that. But also they're leaning on this. Oh, it's an emergency because it's harmful to the kids. But most people are aware, and most public health offices have repeatedly stated hemp is not a public health emergency. There is no hemp crisis.
Yeah.
You know, there's a fentanyl one. But so we'll see how the judge responds. That is going to be what they always lean on, is that the kids are getting a hold of it and it's dangerous. That's why
the kid went to the hospital. He overdosed. He went to the hospital. It's totally fine.
When they write it in the article that he was hospitalized, and I don't want to minimize this because we want safety and we want regulation.
I don't mind minimizing it, Shaun. It's ridiculous.
Hospitalized if you stay overnight in the ER for anything.
You're hospitalized if you go to the ER just to go in. You're hospitalized for a period of time.
So I think it's a bit dramatic. I agree.
I agree. It's drama.
See, this is why they need an evidentiary hearing. And the fundamental premise here is that the governor's making a declaration about something that now you got to bring some evidence to prove it. And transferable to, the national level, Donald Trump is declaring things in cities that he may have to come in and prove. Okay, before we're going to allow you to take executive action here. So this transfers out into the bigger national stage. It's the exact same principle. We have governments that are republics. We have separation of powers. And the Congress can't arrest anybody. That, we don't allow that to happen. But the president can't make laws. The governor can't make laws. That's the legislator's job. Okay, and this is just a reality, and it's unfortunate that I talk to so many people that have no idea how this works. Just have none. They have some imaginary cartoon character idea of how the world works. Like, no. When I walk into court, shut your mouth, sit down, and listen, unless you're asked a question, and watch what the courts do, because truth it's ugly to get to the truth. It hurts people's feelings. And nobody gives a shit if you're a snowflake in the courtroom.
Yep.
It's
like the judge is there to make a decision based on the law and the facts, and somebody walks out butthurt. Sometimes both parties walk out butthurt. But there's got to be finality someplace.
Most times both parties walk out butthurt because they've let the state decide. That's why you.
I see what you did there. I see what you did there. That's that mediation plug. That mediation plug right there. I caught that. I caught that, Shaun. I caught that.
Whiplash of the lawsuit, and then you get a firm dose of reality. Like I am preaching on this because I have learned this the hard way myself. Like I've had my tough lessons in contract law, and I want to save everyone from the realizations that even when you are on the right side, you gotta be able to prove it up. Stay out of there if you can. Otherwise, who wants the state to be the default decision maker for anything in their business or personal lives? Right?
Well, you have so many people that want the government to be there, to basically be their daddy. All these people out there, all the time protesting, all these things, all the time.
People default to it. I don't think they're begging for it.
Interesting.
We also have to recognize in the U.S. that our democracy is only as strong as its litmus test, and we are being tested right now. And it was only a matter of time before someone seriously pushed judiciary limits with executive power. So let's see, can we handle this? Like, can we progress forward, and do our laws hold? Will it hold is the question.
Fair enough. And on that, we're going to roll into Dale Schafer. Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet nasty. They turn your teeth yellow on top of other things yellow. But he is honest, and he's unconcerned with your opinion, public opinions, and sometimes even the judge's opinion. And he'll show you how to piss up a rope and defy gravity. That's right, it is your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office, at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody. It is Tio Loco again, and morning's topic is one that I'm sure I'm going to piss a lot of people off.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Comes out a marijuana moment from Kyle Yeager, and the headline: Joe Rogan pushes back against Kamala Harris's claim he lied about her willingness to discuss marijuana on his podcast. Okay, so just to be clear, I'm a Democrat, okay, and I'm having trouble believing a lot of the stories that are coming out right now, and especially from Kamala. I mean, she's not a victim, and that's my first, response here is you're not a victim, lady. Come on. And importantly, he had agency as the vice president under the 25th Amendment to do something about Joe when he got to the point where I watched that debate. And it's like, how in the hell did we get to this point without somebody going, Jesus, Joe, you can't find your ass with both hands? Okay. So once she gets handed the baton, there are podcasts out there. There is an environment where you can find segments of the population. They have their heroes. They have their demons. They have their podcasts, their social media going on. Okay. And quite frankly, Harris and her $1 billion+ poo-pooed a lot of people out there, just like Hillary Clinton poo-pooed a lot of people out there. And afterwards, now we're trying to get people to explain things. And quite frankly, I'm just not buying all of it. Okay. I lived in California, and Jason, you remember this. Kamala Harris took over for Terrence Hallinan, who basically refused to prosecute any pot cases, let Dennis Barone have a dispensary, blah, blah, and we were in the battles with Lundgren out here, and which side of this you're on. And Kamala, took over as the DA, and she self-professed as a progressive, and she was nothing like the progressive Terrence Hallinan was, but she was nowhere near what Lundgren and, the prohibitionist ilk was here either. Somewhere in between there. But to say she, was not really prosecuting people for weed, I think that's disingenuous.
Definitely.
Say that, she was doing what some forces in the state wanted her to do. No, she wasn't doing that either. Okay. And then when she became the attorney general, continued to push policies in this state that today just absolutely went nuclear and blew up in her face. Okay. So that's who she was. And say that, Joe Rogan's lying about, them wanting to, to control the message here. I also think it's disingenuous because I helped run a political campaign, and you want your candidate to be limited, time limited. What are we going to talk about? Let's not go off topic. We don't want anybody stepping on their punani or saying something stupid and getting in trouble and blah, 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 blah. That's how it works. Okay. And Joe Rogan is like, hey, time limit down, start talking wherever it goes. Let's pick your brain. Tell us how you really feel. I don't think Harris wanted to do that. Wanted to have this campaign where I'm in charge of everything. And, from my standpoint, that all the people that were advising her should put in a bus and driven off a cliff, get them out of the party, because this was horrible the way this was handled. And then now to play the victim, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. Mm-hmm. Okay. If she wants to talk about her marijuana policy, I don't have totally bad things to say about it.
I do.
Totally good things to say about it. Well, I understand that. She was not prosecuting me. That was the feds. Mm-hmm. Okay. But to say that she was anything about marijuana policy today, I think is basically revisionist. Okay. You got to go back and live in that life we were in at that point. And the problem I have is people just are afraid to be honest about who they are. So they want to control messages. We're pissing and moaning about, well, Joe wanted to talk about stuff, and Kamala said, well, no, he didn't. They want to control him. Unless this is recorded, you have no idea what was actually said. Because I've been in the middle of campaigns before, you want to control the message. Oh, I think there was a mistake made here in not pushing to find out how can we sit down with Joe Rogan and spend a couple hours. Okay. Pick my brain. Let me tell you how I really feel. She didn't want to do that now. And I don't have a lot of praise for that. We did not sit down and talk to the average Mary and Joe Doke working slob in this country. How can we help you? Democrats still were, I've got my letters and you're not saying the right word and, I'm correcting you and I'm better than you. I mean, this kind of arrogance is what torpedoed this whole thing. I still see it coming out here. Okay. You took the baton, Kamala. You said you're going to run with it. And if you and your people fuck this thing up, own it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still waiting for the after. I mean, I was in the military, and you understand this, Shaun. You have a battle plan. It never works out the way you want it, so you come back and go, how did it work? Let's do this immediately. Let's make corrections. No one wanted to do that, and now they're trying to rewrite some history here. I'm just not going to buy it. Can we sit down and be honest about screwing this whole thing up on both sides? I don't think so. I'm going to throw us back at you because I'm sure we'll talk about this book and other things in more, because I just am not going to stand here and watch things happen, even as a Democrat, without saying, just hang on for a second. I was there too, and I'm just not going to buy all the bullshit coming out of either side now. Throw back at you for your comment.
One of these people is a politician, and one of these people is a comedian, and I have the tendency to not believe the politician. And, I think Rogan has proved at this point that he can say almost anything. He's not going to really change his viewership or his following. Kamala has the incentive to sell books and play the victim. So, follow the money like any of these cases that come up. She's the one with the strong incentive to fabricate things for her side of the story because she needs the book sales. She lost the election, and this is her last chance, grabbing straws.
I really hate saying that because it's but it's so true. Here's the deal. So when I worked with Uncle Sam, I worked with a lot of media outlets. And then when I worked outside of Uncle Sam, I worked with a lot of media outlets. And I've been on both sides. I've pitched PR. I've been a journalist. And I can only imagine how those pitches were going at that time because I was watching on edge. Like when
they're all curveballs, Shaun. They're all curveballs. Right. Every single one of those pitches.
This one, her team messed up because she had a chance to do some work on likability, and to address it is what it is, guys. Look, we talked about this last week. She could have presented at perfect, even if she said just one thing. For women, it's a little bit harder for likability, unless you're likable for other.
I like lots of women, Shaun.
And
so I don't think it's harder.
Not in that way, Jason.
I'm just saying.
Likability for executive leadership is a little bit more difficult when it comes to the female persuasion.
I don't buy that.
They're not capable. It's just a matter of culture. Anyhow,
I don't buy that.
They had an opportunity. There's studies out there. They had an opportunity to do some work where she could be public facing and she could confront her record directly because it was going to be an issue, whether they liked it or not. Here's the deal, though, is that repeatedly the Democrats have underestimated the issues that actually really matter to the people. Or when the people say, hey, I don't like this particular hypocrisy and I want you to deal with it, they refuse to look themselves in the mirror sometimes and have the difficult conversation. And that's why they keep losing, because their constituents want to have that level of accountability and refresh with their team, the Democrats. And they haven't learned this lesson since they forced Hillary Clinton on everybody, and nobody wanted that. Nobody asked for it. And then they repeated it with Biden. And for Kamala, I feel like she prosecuted who she prosecuted. And I had always said that's a no-go for me. However, I understand she wasn't as extreme as others, but for her to just own her record and carry on and make it right. Like, she could have made it right as VP. On that note, she was VP, but I don't know how much control she actually had over her vice presidency or her
She was the border czar.
I think the DNC really needs to do some soul searching and get their shit together, because we're
Still
having
said it right though. She's still a person of
issues.
prominence. She could go on Rogan right now. I'm sure he would have her. She doesn't
100%.
have the pressure of an election or of being VP, so she could talk much more casually. If she really wanted to set the record straight, she could for the whole world. And she's just trying to sell books.
I would turn her down. Now she wants to come. No,
I let her come on. I let her come on because you know what? She's not going to make herself look any better. She's only it's only going to give us more content to talk about, Shaun. She's not going to do any favors for herself. And that's why I hope that she does go on, because it'll be fantastic to watch the train wreck. You know, it's like watching a burning building.
No.
Yeah.
We've got conversations to have. If I was him, I would turn it down just for my audience. I wouldn't.
No way. No way. He's going to get views for that. What are you talking about? Everyone used to watch the Jerry Springer show, and that's what it's going to be like.
I guess I wouldn't do it. An interview, I'd be
The problem that I continue to have is her effectiveness as a communicator. Okay. Let's just cut to the chase. I've trained a lot of trial lawyers in my career, and when I watch her and how she communicates, it's like, you know, lady, I don't think you have a future in front of a jury. I'm sorry. And we came from California. We watched her, and she became DA because she knew a guy named Willie Brown. Okay?
Not just knew a guy.
They're just, you know, there were people in the state going, you know, we watched you. We've seen you communicate here, and it's horrible, but you got to bootstrap into that job. And then she got to bootstrap into the attorney general job, and then she got into the Senate. And nobody really forced her to sit down and have long communications where he really had to answer questions and be spontaneous, not, you know, do all the gesticulations with the hands that are distracting. A human being, like, I'm sitting down, give me a beer, you know, whatever, and let's talk about whatever the hell comes out of your mouth. We'll talk about it. She's scared to death to do that. Too many politicians are scared shitless to do that, and that's Joe's MO right there. Sit down, pull up, we'll smoke a joint, I don't care. You want a shot of whiskey, have a beer, whatever. Let's talk about how bad the last weekend's football games were, and, you know, how people smell when you're around them. I don't give a shit what you talk about. Let's be a real human being here. And I just don't see that coming from politicians. And it's really too bad. She's not an effective communicator. I don't know her personally, so I don't want to castigate her as a human being, but I've watched her on TV and know her history. It's like, oh shit, you know, I wouldn't vote for her for dog catcher if she had a whole nother crowd she had to compete with. And that's what happened when she was in the primary before. Like, nobody liked you, so she dropped out.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, she's running for president. It's like, how in the actual fuck did we get here? As you said, Shaun, it's like, next thing you know, we got Hillary running, and it's like, okay.
Yep.
How did we get here?
She tried it, but it was so performative. I think that's why they're scared to be authentic sometimes, is because she tried it and then she says she carries hot sauce in her purse. Please, girl.
She carries other things in her purse.
And then Nancy Pelosi taking a knee and kente cloth. Get out of my face. That pisses me off.
It's such performative theatrics.
Because they wanted to do performative politics and bullshit, and they didn't want to bring substance. As a woman, it infuriates me. As a minority, it infuriates me. As an American, now seeing what our democracy is going through, it infuriates me. And I hope they get it right, because
they're not.
There's only so many ways that you can convince someone to keep voting for you, and you keep fucking it up, you know? I'm an independent. I'm not a Democrat. I've never been a Democrat. I've always been neutral. That's my shtick.
You'll always be a Democrat in my book, Shaun.
To what Dale said is, you know, she's not an effective communicator. All she ever did during the campaign trail was chuckle, drop some one-liners, try to throw her, you know, her ethnicity into it, and you know, try to, you know, gather the urban crowd behind her or whatever, you know. But I mean, even the part of the article that talked about how, you know, Rogan was trying to cherry pick topics. He never does that on the show. They go on tangents, and if you watch enough Rogan, he's actually one of the best interviewers I've ever seen when it comes to wrangling someone back in to stay on topic. I mean, when he was interviewing Trump, Trump is the king of tangents. He's in outer space talking about someone's daughter who's a buddy, who's a great guy. And Rogan's like, no, let me bring you back down here. No, let's talk about tariffs again, you know? And nobody does that better than Rogan. And I don't see Rogan wanting to put, you know, barriers to stay on certain topics, because he can do that during the interview. You know, he can bring it back to, okay, no, you mentioned something about this. Let's talk about that again. And I don't know any interviewer that's as good as Rogan to do that. So why would he set that ahead of time when he's an expert at doing it in the interview? Mm-hmm. I think she would have, you know, just ran out of chuckles and things to laugh at, and probably wouldn't have had anything else to say after 45 minutes.
Well, you know,
it would be discredit to him not to ask the questions about her prosecution record. And you're right, Jason. He should have her on if she wants to come on.
She should be on. No, she's not going to smoke.
She could have a smoke and post game.
She's not going to smoke.
She does. Dale's right. We need the after action report, and I think she could find a lot more success in whatever her next endeavor is going to be if she came to Jesus on what mistakes were made in these last few.
I just hope that if she does go on Joe Rogan, that Joe Rogan will pull out the timeline and ask her, why did she lie on the Breakfast Club? Why did she say that she listened to Tupac in college and smoked weed listening to Tupac? Because those timelines just don't match. They're not the same years. They're not the same, not the same time, not even close to the same time that could even possibly have been accurate. And so I hope he asks him about that. But on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back.
Every legend has a humble beginning.
In world news, leaders are gathering today for the annual summit.
I want to tell you something, Che. The government is watching us through the television.
Oh, John.
Look, right there. They're trying to hack into my TV box.
We're still not able to hack into the TV box, sir.
Ha! But they can't.
I've rebuilt the entire electronic system, and it sends and receives signals through quantum phase space. They'll never get in. Engage target.
In other news, local authorities are investigating a series of strange atmospheric phenomena reported by residents.
Ma'am, we're with the federal government. We need to ask you some questions.
John?
Is there a problem? We've been trying to penetrate your TV box for over 6 months.
I told you they were trying to watch us through the TV, but you didn't believe me.
We can't get in, and to be frank, we have no idea what you've created.
Yeah, that's the point. It's called privacy. You know what the Fourth Amendment guarantees?
All we know is that we can't get inside. We want to know if you can create one for us.
QUX. Even the government wants one.
Oh, there you go. And we're back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website at www.high9news.com. Also, make sure you check out our 9/11 special featuring Kurt Weldon and Congressman Dana Rohrabacher on everything that happened and didn't happen on 9/11. And if you are interested in receiving a presidential pardon or know someone that is interested in receiving a presidential pardon, reach out to me. I've assembled a top-notch team of people in the space that can help assist with this process, so please reach out. And if you are a California voter, make sure that you vote no on Prop 50 on this special election.
Introducing QUX Pay, or simply the Pay app,
where you can pay like it's nobody's business.
Because it isn't. It's what everyone's been clamoring for. It's finally here.
Secure every payment. Your data stays private. QUX will never sell your data for profit, period. Pay friends, family, contacts instantly. No hidden fees. No limits. Spend on the move.
With this patented technology, you can use debit, credit, bank transfers, cash cards, and even crypto completely offline.
Amounts transferred through the Pay app reach their destination instantly. Transfers in a flash. As quick as sending a text. No more waiting around like crypto. Are you ready for the future of payments? The state of the art for money is finally here.
Data privacy and security protocols trusted by militaries and banks worldwide. QUX Pay, the Pay app.
Available as an app and point of sale system, personal and corporate accounts available. Go to QUXPay.com and start using the Pay app today.
Now that we like have the internet and shit and a like national way of like voting, do we need all of these middlemen? I think we need to like look into this a bit.
We're back. Are we back on? We're back on. Oh, we're back on. We're back on. And we are going to roll right into Miss Shaun Salvaje. She's a mom. She is animated, and she is a mediator and a veteran who served our country proud. And here it is, none other. She's trying to keep us out of court all the time. It is none other than Miss Shaun Salvaje.
Just trying to keep everybody out of court.
Yeah.
I have a fun story today from Marijuana Moment. It is about the VA, so veterans. Listen up. VA officials say federal government must gear up for expanding psychedelic medicine for veterans. This one is brought to you by Kyle Yeager. A U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs official says that the government needs to gear up to provide psychedelic medicines to veterans and ensure therapists are equipped to facilitate the novel therapy. As the VA continues to support research into psychedelic medicine, Rachel Yehuda, the director of mental health at the VA's James J. Peters Veterans Affairs Medical Center, spoke on CBS Morning on Friday, that's pretty big, guys. That's national. That's hard to place. Good job, guys. Getting mushrooms on national news, tough. When you're talking about CBS morning shows, those are different. So that means that they're actually making a lot of headway with primary demographics. There's still a lot more research that needs to be done, and we have to gear up in a way that makes it safe to be able to provide these therapies, she said. We have to make sure therapists know how to use these medications and also who should and shouldn't be treated with them, because there are contraindications, especially if you're taking MAOIs. The widespread piecemeal approach to mental health treatment for conditions such as depression, anxiety, and trauma is simply a means of dampening symptoms rather than identifying possible cures, she said. Psychedelics represent a very different approach. This is an approach where you take a medication that puts you in an altered state of consciousness, and if you are prepared for it in the right way, and you do it in the right setting with the right facilitator, different kind of material will surface. This is incredible to hear this from someone who's working with the VA. Yehuda, who was speaking in the interview in her capacity as director of Mount Sinai's Parsons Research Center for Psychedelic Healing, and not appearing as a representative of the VA because she is a multi-hatted woman, get it, said emotions, thoughts, memories, and a lot of things that usually you spend a lot of time keeping down. Guys, this story is a great story, actually. This could be the happy story of the day.
No, boy.
Well, because think about that, because she's working in her capacity for psychedelic research, but has also doubled down and is serving with the VA. This is good. We are putting the right people in the right roles. That's fundamental principle number one. Right people, right place. But the reason that we have, she continues, the reason that we have mental health symptoms is because we feel those things and because we have had those things happen to us, Yehuda said. So this is a way to access and be able to work with what's really at the core of the problem. This is a way of taking a medication once or twice or 3 times at most. These are sessions that take several hours with psilocybin or MDMA and could be 6 or 8 hours, and you're with therapists the whole time. This reminds me a lot of those gold standards we were talking about a few weeks ago with that organization I used to work with in Jamaica, Myco Meditations. So it's good to hear that they're leaning in this direction, a little bit mix of clinical and a little bit mix of psycho-spiritual. Because a lot of people have said, regardless of your faith, this is not in the article, I'm just sharing with you guys, regardless of your spiritual faith, that as long as you have a spiritual connection to the meaning that you're making, the results can really be lasting. But when you don't have those spiritual connections, that's often why some people will trip, and then they'll have a profound realization, then slip back into bad habits in short time because they're not actually making a deeper meaning. So back on the story, stuff comes up that you talk about, she says, and hopefully you won't have to keep taking medications once you try to get at the root of the problem. But let's be very clear that there is a danger in having unfettered access to psychedelics and having people, I wouldn't say danger. The drugs themselves are not very dangerous, but the material that can surface with these drugs can be very overwhelming. Yeah, ego death is really tough, guys. So if you really want to make sure that you take the drug with a professional who is able to help you make meaning out of the experience that you just had, for many people, what comes up can be very overwhelming. If they don't have somebody there to talk them through it, then maybe some things can happen that would be harmful. You can, yes, you can have a psychotic episode. You can also be, for friends out there who are experimenting in some of these underground groups, stay away from the cults. Sometimes you don't know when you're in one, so be careful because you're in a psychological state of influence, to be very transparent, and you have to make sure that whoever you're doing these medicines, but also it's also just plant, whoever you're consuming this stuff with and going through this material with, you really should trust them, and they should also know what they're doing, because there is a lot of folks who are familiar with the underground. There is a lot of harm. There is a lot of psychological influence. There has been sexual coercion in some cases where you have people dosing people and then taking advantage of them. You've got to be mindful. And I'm glad that we're seeing out of the VA this representative, Yehuda, who I've just become a big fan of. I'll have to look into her a little bit more. But you're seeing her address both of those issues simultaneously without making a big dog and pony show of it. I'm actually really impressed, and this is a great story. Good news, finally, to share with the general public. I know I usually come in hot. So I'm going to toss it back to you guys. What do you think?
Well, you know, I think it all starts from the top with people being able to have these types of things happen in that way. And shout out to Doug Collins, who is the chairman of the VA, for allowing this to go on. And this is fantastic news. I'm with you, Shaun. This is great. You know, Doug Collins is a friend of mine, and we've helped him evolve on this issue. And so, you know, I'm really glad to see his leadership, you know, because this is definitely going to help a lot of veterans later on down the road as soon as these policies can be initiated. But this is fantastic progress update.
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Dale.
The hardest part of this is developing standards to go with professionals who do this.
Mm-hmm.
I did, medical malpractice, and once you put it into the hands of licensed professionals, it changes, whether we want to admit it or talk about it or not. Right now, it's going on. I've done therapy sessions with people who have taken psychedelics many times, and Molly did too. And I mean, she was trained in psychiatry, so it was easier for her to see symptoms and signs that you might want to take more, notice of and be more concerned with. Because the people that are going to have the most trouble with this have the most locked up in their head. You've got to be prepared to see how it's coming out of them, not let them freak out. Because to take care of someone on a bad trip, I don't know if you've ever experienced that. It's not fun for anybody.
No, it's not.
If you're going to start talking about, well, who do we want doing this? What level of training and experience do we have? That's where this begins to get dicey. The actual statistical facts, the actual facts about this stuff working are not really being contested anymore. And that's a good thing coming out, Shaun, that the VA's recognize that whether we like what we're hearing or not, a whole lot of people with severe PTSD are doing this and reporting back positive things from it. That is a good thing because it's working. I mean, I know so many people with severe PTSD that microdosing psychedelics is one of the ways that they get through the day. And planning the bigger experiences where you take more and it's an entire day experience. What are your goals for this? I mean, this is where we need to go over trying to help these folks. But open up some doors in their head that they've tried to keep closed and can't do it anymore. People have been known to lose track of themselves, and then the next thing they're dead. Okay, you really have to be mindful. If someone takes a full acid dose, someone isn't around there to help them, or let's say they hit the DMT pin, and you're out there in a car or something. It's like some of the stuff is just incredibly stupid. Let's not let that happen.
Yeah.
The fact that it works, even going back to the 1950s where they were first experimenting with psychedelics, they saw the consequences of that were a drop in depression. It was easy to see. And up until Tim Leary pissed off the Nixon administration, they were working on psychedelics realistically, and it just all got closed down, political reasons. And it's opening back up as it should, and it's got a quicker path to legitimacy than weed ever had. I mean, let's just be blunt about this. I want to see this be incorporated. The VA should be dealing with this not only from the cannabis standpoint, from the psychedelic standpoint, and not give anybody a dark cloud over them if they do this. And that's all of our concerns about the VA. Start admitting to this shit. What's that going to mean? And we talk about our gun rights and things like that. There's still pieces of this that are hard to figure out, but I'm hopeful that this is going to continue on its path, its trajectory that it's got right now.
Yeah,
I agree with both of you on this. I think that, unlike cannabis, we use the medical path as a justification for further legalization. I think with these types of substances, there needs to be a very strong distinction between recreational use and therapeutic use, especially in the context of veterans and people with mental illness and abuse. It's definitely a great article. It's progress in the right direction, but anyone that has experience with these substances, will tell you that these need to be guided experiences. They need to be something that you achieve a certain type of resolution. You don't leave people on this open-ended thing where it could very severely affect their personality or their ego or even the resolution of the treatment itself. It's not like I'm going to go to a fish show and come back healed,
I mean, that's so we got to protect both. Like, that does happen, but we have to, like, microdosing for performance optimization or to go to fish is adult use, and then this is therapeutic. So, we
did that with cannabis. What I'm saying is we don't want to blur these lines as much. We don't want to use the therapeutic benefits that are real, that are also real for cannabis. But cannabis is more an everyday substance. It's obviously very therapeutic, but it's something that I think comes into the territory of personal liberties, right? Nobody should tell me when, where, how I can use this. I should have a freedom to use it. With these things, you have much more, I don't want to say severe, but they're very disrupting to the normal psyche, to the everyday experience of a person, right? And if you have
before Timothy Leary, and I hate to interrupt, but before Timothy Leary, it was Maria Sabina, and it was indigenous, and these are native to Mexico. So maybe some of y'all can't do it, but some of us are fine. And I always have.
Even then, from a shamanistic point of view, it's still supposed to be disruptive. It's supposed to be something that you do, and you don't go to work. You don't just get in your car and drive. You don't just go to a concert. It's supposed to be a very focused thing. Even going back to indigenous people.
I hear what you're saying. I'm going to politely disagree.
Love a good. Yeah.
And my concern is also that if we lean only into medicalization, you just handed over the entire psychedelics, even like for facilitators and mushrooms. I think the mushrooms should be like cannabis. And then the MDMA, I get it's an amphetamine. It's actually made in a lab. You should be that, LSD. Those are different substances and they fall under a different purview of law. But when it comes to like a whole plant,
what about DMT? What about
cannabis,
DMT?
We want to keep that one.
You got to process DMT to have DMT too, but it's a spirit molecule, and it's in every single living organism in the world.
The pharmaceutical companies.
What's that? Hold on. Let's have Chris go, and then we'll have Shaun go. Go ahead, Chris.
I'm not saying hand it over to pharmaceutical companies, and anything plant derived generally isn't going to be, because they can't own it and patent it. So it is naturally occurring. You're gonna, just like herbal medicine, just like anything else, these things have existed for a long time. I'm just saying that we don't want that blurred line like we have in cannabis. I mean, for me personally, I use cannabis, medicinally and recreationally, depending on the time of day or what day it is, how I'm feeling, whatever's wrong with me that day. And the same could be true for psychedelic substances. But I think, especially in the context of veterans, that there has to be a pathway for guided therapy. Because I know a lot of people personally, and I know it's anecdotal evidence, but they've gone to this as a means of therapy, and they haven't gotten out of it what they needed because they were in a kind of quote unquote party environment, maybe around the wrong people, and obviously they received some resolutions out of it, but I don't think it's maximizing what these compounds are really able to do.
Agree.
Positive benefit.
I agree with you on that too, Chris. It's all about your environment. It's all about your environment in those settings. If you want to get the most out of it.
Wrong people with the goal of therapy.
Yep.
In the wrong setting, it could fuck you up.
It's just like in yoga class, they tell you, set your intention for your practice for what you want to get out of it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that applies to civilians as well. I don't know. I'm feeling some kind of way about hearing this as a veteran. Like, we need special help.
She's getting triggered.
Yeah, we want to be helped and treated and all of that. And we are usually the guinea pigs. Like, it's mostly veterans work that is actually pushing a lot of the psychedelic stuff with ibogaine and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So we're happy to I don't know. We don't want to infantilize anybody. Scene and setting is important. And if you're going to a Fish concert and hoping to have some kind of therapeutic experience, like, go enjoy your Fish concert, but that's not where you're going to have it if that's not the intention. If your intention is to actually work through your trauma, you'll confront your trauma, or it will confront you.
I was going to say that, Shaun. I was going to say, or your trauma is going to come and confront you. And on
you're
that,
going to have a really bad trip at the Fish concert. There's no bad trips though, man.
And on that, there's bad trips for sure.
Do that there.
There's bad
so
trips.
So I don't know. I want to be careful about being extreme on either end.
There's definitely bad trips for sure.
I don't like taking plants away from people, like, especially peyote, mushrooms, cannabis. Leave it alone. Ayahuasca. Leave it alone. It's religious. It's spiritual. It's not yours.
Leave the plants alone.
Leave it alone.
But if we're talking about it in the context of therapy, we're not leaving it alone. It's obviously being talked about, on CBS morning news, and there's going to be more and more attention on it. Mm-hmm. And this is, the average soccer mom. It's on their menu now. So all the Karens have entered the chat. So we have to consider that.
Well, Chris,
if we want to protect it, we have to consider that.
It's on every single pizza place's menu too, Chris. Just saying.
Different mushrooms.
Just saying.
Talking about creminis here.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't want to see the psychedelics market make the same mistakes that cannabis did.
Oh, they already are. They already are, and they're going to do it because you already said that you want to see it treated like cannabis, and so therefore that's already the same mistake already right there. But on that, we're going to roll into our next commercial, and we're going to be right back.
I just ordered the summertime strawberry salad when added steak on top here at Anna's. Make sure you do the same thing too next time you're in downtown Long Beach. Come on down and check out Anna's joint on the 400 block of Pine Street. They have amazing selection of beers, foods, and when you come down here to Anna's, you can even challenge me to a game of shuffleboard if you want to lose. Get that? So, next time you're in downtown Long Beach on Pine Avenue, make sure you stop by Anna's Joint on the 400 block. Not only do they have Anna's Joint, this restaurant and bar, but they also have the amazing deli next door, and then next door to that they have a very exotic flower shop. You may want to stop by and say hi.
And we are back, you guys, and we are going to roll right? There we go. There we go. There we go. We're going to roll right in to Mr. Christopher Vaos. He's a seasoned cannabis industry professional with over 15 years of experience in commercial cultivation. He's led large-scale indoor greenhouse and outdoor operations across various U.S. markets. He's specialized in cultivation optimization, team leadership, and cost-efficient scaling. With a background in engineering and a data-driven, science-based approach, Christopher consistently delivers strong results in strong weed and in plant health, productivity, and operational efficiency. That's right. It is none other than Mr. Christopher Vaos.
I like how you used your sexy phone voice to introduce me today.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that.
This article comes from Cannabis Business Times, written by our buddy Tony Lang. California Governor Gavin Newsom vetoed a bill on October 11th that had aimed to expand patient access to medical cannabis in the nation's oldest legalized marketplace. The Legislation Assembly Bill 1332 would have allowed licensed microbusinesses to ship medical cannabis directly to patients in California using a common courier such as UPS or FedEx under limited circumstances. The bill was intended to allow patients who can't travel or don't travel well to purchase products that aren't stocked in their local dispensaries. Sponsored by Assemblymember Patrick Arons, passed unanimously both in the Senate 39-1, House 78-1 last month before arriving on Newsom's desk. While I appreciate the author's goal of expanding patient access to medical cannabis, the proposed direct shipping program would be burdensome and overly complex to administer, Newsom said in his veto statement. The Department of Cannabis Control will need to revamp the California cannabis track and trace system, which will take significant resources and time. Moreover, this measure includes numerous restrictions on eligible products, many of which are unclear, overly narrow, or unworkable, adding to the implementation challenge. According to a fiscal analysis of the bill from the Senate Appropriations Committee, the DCC reported a one-time implementation cost of approximately $269,000 to modify the track and trace system, and an ongoing annual cost of $472,000 to oversee shipments and ensure compliance with product restrictions. That's pretty much what I pay in tolls just going over the Bay Bridge. That annual cost represents less than 0.05% of what the state collected in taxable cannabis sales last year, according to the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration. Given that this measure allows just 2 businesses to ship medical cannabis directly to patients, the cost of administering this program far outweighs the possible benefits to patients, Newsom said. According to the bill, any micro-businesses with an M license whose license activities include retail sale, manufacturing, distribution, and outdoor cultivation may directly ship medicinal cannabis to medicinal cannabis patients in the state. According to the DCC, there's 290 active micro-businesses licensed with a medicinal or adult use and medicinal license designation in California. Of these licensees, more than 50 check the vertical integration box for retail, manufacturing, distribution, and cultivation. The governor's veto comes at a time when medical cannabis sales are on pace to dip below $200 million in 2025, representing roughly 4% of the licensed marketplace in California, according to the DCC. This compares to roughly $540 million in medical cannabis sales in 2021. The sales dip comes after California was once hailed as the largest medical cannabis market in the nation, with a group of roughly 150 individuals on behalf of California's cannabis trade, labor advocacy, veterans, and patient organizations. Man, that's a lot there. That group signed a letter to Newsom and legislative leaders in late 2024 asking for patient equity in a state that fails to exempt medical patients from its 15% cannabis excise tax at retail. Prior to adult use legalization, there were millions of California patients with doctors' recommendations, achieving over 2.5 billion medical sales in 2017, the signers wrote. Post-legalization, due to unbearably high taxes, medical cannabis patients have been forced to seek their medicine in the unregulated market where untested products have already been a proven danger to their health. The article just goes on to, talk about how Gavin Newsom is running out of hair gel, and basically that all these justifications to not pass this. In my opinion, it's kind of ridiculous. There's so much weed already getting sent back and forth in UPS, USPS that is unregulated. And the cost that he mentioned compared to the state's budget is so minor that, it would be worthwhile to implement a system for these patients. Not to mention, as the article mentioned, you know, the medical cannabis market has been on the downfall. Most people, you know, can get access through recreational programs. It's you know, just leaving everything behind. It's trying to force everyone back into the recreational tax model. And you know, I mean, obviously, you know, the committees, everybody else voted for this. I mean, the Senate and House 39-0, 78-0. It's obvious that you know, representing the people want this. So you know, what do you guys think? Especially Dale, I really want to hear what you have to say about this.
Bullshit. That's what I think about it. I mean, the people of the businesses struggling are looking for sources of revenue. How can we get them? Look around, and your neighbors are growing a whole shitload of weed and shipping it, you know, directly to people. And we're asking to have it done, and we get, you know, a absolute bullshit story. I mean, it doesn't cost any money. The problem is that metric in California is worthless as tits on a bull. And they don't want to acknowledge that Forrest Gump has figured out how to get around it, okay? And then we get these kind of an excuse, and it's like, dude, you guys have a history of buying shitty computer systems, and then you're always, you know, behind the curve trying to figure out how to stay up with it. And give that as an excuse? Just stop it. The industry in California.
Don't you love when you have to file some government forms and they're like, could you fax it to this number? And you're like, who the hell still has a fax?
Oh, years ago, before we started this, I met with the head of the DCC just to pick their brain a little bit about what's coming. And they were putting together internally a computer system to try and watch the computer system they're going to get, be able to be, you know, red flags come up. Apparently, they got the same success with that. They have every computer system. They just don't seem to want to put in a system that is relatively easy to find the bad guy. I don't understand why that is, because, you know, you can buy one of these distributor licenses, ship, you know, 1,000 pounds into it. Nobody thinks maybe we should go check your inventory. Like, this system isn't working, and you're using it as an excuse to not go any further. I just think that's nonsense, because these businesses are dying on the vine. They don't have enough revenue. This revenue is going to be lifeline for them. The legislature goes, oh, we can amend, we can do all this stuff, we do it. I don't know why. I just don't accept it. I'm sorry. There's way too much bullshit coming out of government right now to rationalize what they're doing. This one, you just shake your head. I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is crazy. Like, to me, this is, you know, but it's the same thing of why he, you know, puts a hemp ban in place. It's the same thing. It's like he's just trying to make it as hard on customers as possible. And, you know, with, you know, and I understand he wants to, because he wants to, like, give a bone to the retailers and this and that in the cannabis space. But the reality is, if you want to give a bone to the retailers, you need to force all these local municipalities to give up their local control. So then that way we can actually have a robust retail system throughout the state. And without that, people are just going to keep on mailing stuff to different people, direct to consumer, and you're going to have people just, you know, tippy-toeing around and whatnot. But you're not stopping anything, any type of commerce. You're just trying to prohibit it. You're just trying to limit where it can take place, but it's still taking place.
Why would they do that to their medical operators? That is so ass backwards. Why would you do that to the people that are participating in your system?
Well, the medical system is pretty much dead for the most part, Shaun. I mean, there's not really a lot of reason for people to get a medical card. I mean, not to mention, if you want to be exempt from the sales tax in the state, it's not, you just get a medical card. You have to get a medical card, and then you have to go to your county health department and get the state card, which takes like a week or 2 weeks for them to finally issue. And it's, you know, your doctor's got to verify, and it's just this whole bunch of hoops to actually go through to even make it so that you're even sales tax exempt and not even excise tax exempt. And so a lot of people are, you know, the only people that really feel the need to get a recommendation are people from the ages of 18 to 21 to get a recommendation, because that enables them to go and legally shop in a dispensary without you know, because otherwise dispensaries are 21 and over. And so there's not a big medical market in the first place, and most patients don't even waste the time with getting a recommendation anymore. So
if big market, Why would you?
That's my point. That's what I'm saying.
Like, it's just seems antagonistic. It just seems dumb.
We're thinking logical now, and that's not part of politics.
It's not part of California for sure.
That's definitely not part of California. That's for sure. Yeah. Speaking of that, make sure you vote no on 50 if you vote in California. Stop the steal. Stop the steal. Man. Gavin Newsom, man. It doesn't surprise me that he vetoed that. Not one bit. But I have one final story for you guys. I hope you guys are interested. It's pretty interesting, I think, at least. You know what I mean? There was someone in the chat asking, why was the stocks going so crazy on cannabis stocks today? Well, I'm willing to bet that this is why, Dale, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. Because a cannabis company by the name of Glasshouse Brands listed on the Robinhood trading app, Dale. That's right. Glasshouse Brands, better known as GLASF, a California-based marijuana company, has quietly surfaced on the Robinhood trading app, making it one of the only U.S. plant-touching cannabis businesses to appear on the platform. The development is significant because most American marijuana operators are barred from major U.S. exchanges and trade instead on the OTC markets or in Canada. Brokerages like Robinhood have historically restricted access to these tickers, leaving retail investors unable to buy into multi-state operations. Curaleaf, known as CURLF, has been long visible on Robinhood's web version, but it has never been available for trading. Glasshouse's appearance marks a new step that could signal changing access for cannabis equities. Glasshouse is one of the nation's larger marijuana operators, running cultivation, retail, and branded product divisions, and the company has drawn analyst attention for improving production yields and lowering costs. Through it, though it has also faced revenue pressures in recent quarters. Well, it's also faced a federal raid. Interesting. Glasshouse stock ended the day at a 12-month high on this news, you guys. Well. I wonder if one of the reasons that they're able to get their costs so low is because of all of their illegal workers or whatnot, but I don't know. That's just my speculation. I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, the question still is, who's going to raise federal illegality in some action to go after these folks?
Dale, but by them doing this, doesn't that give them, or doesn't that put them onto the radar of the SEC so that the SEC could come in and start sniffing up their butthole?
Oh, of course.
Okay.
And this is always the problem.
Yeah.
You go forward with this, and there's a whole bunch of federal laws hanging out there, from RICO to SEC type of investigations, because marijuana is illegal at the federal level. So when you're out there advertising and selling this stock, at what point do you enter into RICO territory?
Yeah.
SEC violations. And if you're in court, and if I'm thinking I'm the attorney bringing this in, I don't even want you to be able to open your mouth. First question, is this illegal to be doing? Yes. I have no more questions, Your Honor. I want these people thrown out of here. Okay. And we haven't seen that yet in the industry because people have just not allowed it. But as soon as you allow it now, I mean, we talked earlier about suits being brought and there's no standing there. People will come in and sue for all kinds of things. And we will see where this is going to go. Personally, I'd like to see this be out of the schedule and just allowed to be on the stock exchange and be able to get money in your hands and be able to develop your products and all that kind of stuff, not have these threats. But since we still have the schizophrenia of federal illegality, who knows? I don't.
Well, I hope that it's actually going to be a real stock and not just some Ponzi to try to attract investors.
Come on, bro. You know it's a Ponzi. You know it's a Ponzi. Yeah. Come on. Their days have to be.
While the stock goes to zero, basically.
Yeah. Their days have to be numbered after having all those child workers getting found at their license. I mean, to me, their days are numbered in my mind with this administration. I'm not buying the fact that maybe this is a way for them to try to recoup their losses from that. Is like, hey, let's just do this quick pump and dump before all shit burns to hell.
Yeah, maybe. This is not trading advice, but
yes,
you may want to just short the stock.
Yeah. You know, I say short every marijuana stock. Just in general, just short them all if you want to win. Yeah, if you want to win, short them all. You know what I mean? This is not financial advice in any way, but you know, just.
Well, I just got to say, it's my knee-jerk reaction from Glass House. I did 5 years in federal prison for growing a little over 100 plants. Didn't have any illegal workers, none of that kind of stuff. And I'm wondering, is there something going on in the background that's going to kick Glass House's ass for doing so many illegal things here? I mean, I'm just wondering, because I'm not a person to ask what should happen to them.
Yeah,
I don't like people going to prison, but goddamn it, I ate with a spork for 5 years for bullshit. These people did things that seemed to me to violate federal law. You know, here today, and what's going to happen to them? And I just don't know. This whole thing is schizophrenic, and in most cases, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
You are right about that. You are right about that, Dale. So.
I think not just who you know, but how long are you going to overextend yourself? Like, if you do have this ability to dodge cases or whatever that some have speculated, how many times do you think they're going to let you jump? How many times do you think they're going to let you play in their face? I don't think very many. Like, I don't think there's that much pull.
So you're saying that Kyle Kazan is not a Neo in the Matrix?
I would doubt that. I don't. No one's Keanu. But I just, for anybody, like, I don't know what the insides of Glass House are. This looks shady to me.
It sounds hella shady to me personally.
Yeah, and because they have the immigration and the labor issues, and before that they have a few others. It's like, how many red flags before someone is going to pull? Like, you also have to. Don't forget
the minor issue. They had all those minors on their property too. Don't forget that part, Shaun.
If they do have someone who can help them with favors, how many favors are you going to burn through on this? Like, I don't know if this is the place to to do that.
A proverb about don't throw stones
at glass houses. Yeah, don't show. Well, people that live in glass houses aren't supposed to throw stones. Basically, that's the proverb.
Googling places with no extradition treaty to the United States. Just a little friendly advice there.
Oh man, the Canary Islands, huh, Dale?
Yeah, something. I don't know.
Well, we will see. We're gonna keep an eye on this, and you know what I mean. Again,
if we're wrong, then we're dumb. We didn't get in on it. It's not a GameStop moment for us, but it could be for someone else. I don't know. It's GameStop, Robinhood trading, I guess.
Well, in all fairness, and Steve Blessingham in the chat, he said they think they are untouchable, and unfortunately, so far they kind of are correct. To which I said, "You're only untouchable until you get touched up," and every dog has his day, right, Dale?
Oh yeah,
that's how it works.
Prison is no place to look forward to. Let me just be blunt.
No. But Robinhood, I wonder how they're getting away with this too. You know what I mean? This sounds like a co-conspirator to me with all this. But nonetheless, I'm not a lawyer, but Dale is.
Co-conspirators are listening to every conversation you have.
The walls are listening, and
sometimes their lips open up and they start ratting you out. What I found out is people will show up and rat you out, especially the government's got them by one of their testicles.
That's right.
They'll start screaming and singing, and how do I get out of trouble here?
I wonder if Robinhood is actually like a platform owned by the FBI or something. You never know.
Nothing would surprise me.
Nothing would surprise me. Exactly. None of that would ever surprise me. But nonetheless, thank you all for joining. What's that, Shaun?
Why would you FAFO in their backyard? Why would you do that? That's 2008. We got bailouts. They are all protected. It's never going anywhere. Why would you fuck around and find out?
I know.
And trading space. I wouldn't do it.
Oh man.
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, maybe they think they are Robinhood. You know what I'm saying? They are robbing the hood. You know what I mean? Of all that revenue because the price of cannabis has dropped so far because of them. But nonetheless, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And a big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on, and our thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. Thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day, and Cloud Media partners Elias and Kai are somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show. Trademarked.